Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew Dracy, longtime comic book fan since I was about 7 years old, and comic professional for 30 years for DC, Marvel, CrossGen, Dark Horse, everybody. And so I've always loved Daredevil. If you're new to the channel, you could look at my older episodes of this channel as well as my other channel, which is Random Comics from My Spinner Rack. And you'll know that I love Daredevil. I loved him before it was cool to love him. I loved him before Frank Miller came along. The costume, when you're doing a superhero, costume is everything. And the one Wally Wood designed in Daredevil 6 or 7, it's just perfect. And people have made like unfair comparisons to Spider-Man for the first 100 issues, Spider-Man to Daredevil, but that's totally different. Spider-Man was in high school and he was in college for 20 some years, and Daredevil starts off as a lawyer. He's a grown-up. He's close to 30 or something like that, and also he has radar sense and Spider-Man has Spidey sense, but Daredevil's radar sense is much more specific. It'll tell you what angle you're being attacked from, and Spider-Man's more like, oh, I'm going to tingle, something's going to happen any minute. I love Spider-Man too. I'm just telling you that Daredevil is no weak comparison to Spider-Man in my eyes. So, Daredevil 200 with a John Byrne cover. He was just pumping out covers left and right, and always eye-catching. And, let's get to the beginning of this. Let me start off by saying this is one of the most disappointing anniversary issues of any title that I've read, whether it was Daredevil or Avengers and stuff like that. And I'll give you a quick example why. Actually, it won't be quick. You can stay after class. I bought Daredevil starting with issue 115, which was really, really great. It was Steve Gerber with art by Bob Brown and Vinnie Coletta. It had the Deathstalker, who was just a great villain, and it was also the end of like a 2 or 3 parter. So it really got me familiar with the character and everything. I fell in love with the character, and I thought, wow, as a lawyer, and it's because when you're a kid, sometimes you want your superheroes to be grown up. So it's like I like Tony Stark because he was. He was like my dad. He had a job, It's just, they all can't be like teenage vigilantes. Although in the modern era where we are cell phones everywhere and all that, it would be a lot harder to have a secret identity in both of those cases when you're a public figure. Well, Tony Stark's no longer got a secret identity. That's understandable. And, with Matt Murdock, it's a lot different because he's more of a streetwise character, and people who do know him, they sort of see him as a protector, especially of Hell's Kitchen, where he grew up and returned to after the Born Again storyline. So, but he was a lawyer for a long time, and a damn good one. So, I get these Marvel Masterworks. I have the originals. I had the trade paperbacks that came out around issue 2000, and I even have an omnibus of this run, and I'll be damned, it's like Marvel Masterworks. I just had to have it because I have all the previous Daredevil Marvel Masterworks, and it's crazy, I know, but I only do that on a few books, and then there's a certain cutoff point that if I feel like the quality isn't that good, or it's I got to give up sometime. So a lot of good stuff going on here. Well, anyway, Bullseye, who was a character in issue 1, he first came along in issue 131. Really a lot of potential, designed by Bob Brown, I think, actually John Romita did. And the writer at the time, I will have to look, I think it was Marv Wolfman, but anyway, great character, and he came around a couple times. He was in a Gil Kane issue, and he was in some other stuff. But when Daredevil was taken over by Frank Miller in the writing and the art, Bullseye kept showing up periodically because he was just a great master assassin, and eventually he would run into Elektra, who is Matt Murdock's college girlfriend, who became a ninja. So here's the problem. Okay, they've been building up this relationship between Bullseye and Matt Murdock, and they've it's interesting. It's like there was one time where he was unconscious on the train tracks, and Daredevil was completely weakened, and the noise of the train was racking his senses, and he's like, I should just let him die. I shouldn't pick him up. He'll just kill again. And then he saved him anyway, and Bullseye was still so loaded with hate that he hated that Daredevil spared his life, and he wasn't appreciative, let's put it that way. And so I have to tell you one thing. There was 3 years of Frank Miller, and the first year was really cool, and the second year was cool, and the third was cool. But the second year, what drove me crazy is it basically became Elektra's comic, guest starring Daredevil. I mean, she took up a lot of real estate, and that kind of bugged me, and then it was ninjas, and my problem with that, also with ninjas, they go after Daredevil or they go after Elektra or anybody, and they all get their asses kicked like Hydra agents or AIM agents with those like beekeeper helmets on. So it kind of lowers it downgrades a ninja, in my opinion. And just like in the Wolverine miniseries by Chris Claremont and Frank Miller, he fought ninjas, and ninjas just they just were cannon fodder, and I just hated how it got diminished, because ninja's supposed to be a special thing. So I am going to jump ahead to issue 181, a double-sized issue. Okay. That's amazing. And this is a double-sized issue. Frank Miller was originally going to stay on the book, and instead of doing, he stayed on till 180 or 191, but he originally was going to keep doing it and do one double-sized issue a year, treat it as an annual instead of like Daredevil annual number 5 or 6. But that didn't come to fruition, but that's okay. This is one of my favorite issues of all time of Daredevil. See Klaus Janson. Klaus is really doing the heavy work, and by Miller's own admission. So loverly. So and he's so deadly. It's like he gets a pill, he has the spasm. I got a headache the worst this time. Hits a cop, about to get shot, but he shot the chains. It's crazy how just amazingly fast everything happens, because Bullseye's just that good, with anything. Like you see the Red, the second Red movie, where the Asian man creates a little paper airplane and kills the guy on the other side, the sensei or something. Well, Marv Wolfman actually did that with Daredevil early on, and so all this is going on. He's got that microphone, gets up on the helicopter, and he's heading home, wherever that is. So, I love the coloring too. Not Frank Miller, but Klaus is also the colorist, and anytime he does the coloring, it's perfect. Well, she can sense that Bullseye there, Elektra, that is. And they get down to business. And she's a master assassin, and so is he. But his speciality, as they would say in Britain, is his accuracy. So, I read this on the bus ride back from Pittsburgh. I went to Ides Comics in downtown Pittsburgh, and I'm reading this, and I'm agape, and everybody's around me, and I'm thinking, I just want to tell everybody how cool this is. I want to show everybody. It's like a movie. It's such a weird thing being this, like, It's like you're the eye of the hurricane. Like everybody else has their own business going on. They're doing their stuff. They have their own lives. A lot of them didn't read comics back then. This is before the big 90s comics boom. And, I'd read something like this with the death of Phoenix, and I would be amongst civilians who don't read comics. And it had this really weird thing. Like, even if I were to emote impassionately about the story, most people would scratch their heads or keep their distance from me. So big old fight. He deduces that Daredevil's Matt Murdock, but he gets tricked. So shows up. We're still in the double size issue here, okay? And thwack goes on and on and on. And what I love about this is the ballet of it. One thing Howard Chaykin, another fantastic artist who does great action scenes, he says, he was saying of the Image Boys when they first came along, like Liefeld and Lee and, all those guys, he says, Image Comics, people say it's all action, but it's not really. It's posing. He says they pose a lot. They don't do a lot of action. Well, here we get action, then some. Really, really beautifully choreographed. Manischewitz, that's beautiful. Yoink. Anyway, there. So you see a lot going on there. Train tracks. That's a very Howard Chaykin kind of thing where Miller kind of cribbed it. I'm not saying it's a storytelling device that really sells you on what's going on. So you've got several pages going on now, and I love that one there where they free fall. But he rescues him. He goes no, so he's about to stab him. He has no choice but to drop him. You'll kill no one ever again. And so at the very end, like almost all his bones are broken. He says, my spine is shattered. I can't feel my arms or legs. I can't even talk, but man, I hate you more than ever. And that will never be enough. No matter how many months or years it takes, I'm going to put myself back together and I'll come for you again. Just wait. So, he's got a lot of, he's got a lot of purpose. And we get to the next volume. I tell myself that this is going to be my last volume of Marvel Masterworks. But, I mean, I just love Daredevil. I mean, maybe I'll keep going. But, I broke down and got this issue. Mostly because Klaus Janson did the first few issues, and it really, his stuff is so nuanced when he draws his own stuff. Kind of like Gray Morrow and some of the other artists I've mentioned, that it didn't show up well in the printing. So he's one of those few artists I think really need the nice white paper treatment. And Ralph Macchio is really a mystery to me. He's been around 50 years with Marvel, but he's not a public figure at all. I mean, you got all these other people saying stuff, and he's just in the background, and but he must be making everybody happy because he's still around, and maybe neat to meet him someday or see an interview. So first, all Klaus issue, written by Danny O'Neill. I think it is. It's Alan Zeneliz. Yes. No, Alan Brennert. Okay, got my Alans mixed up. So it doesn't really take you away from the Frank Miller stuff, because he was, the last year especially, Klaus got very loose layouts, and it was just a great marriage. So this stuff was really worthy of the masterwork treatment. So he does the first 4 issues in this. A lot of cool stuff. Yeah, just, he's keeping that flavor going. Try to find this one cover. Wait. That's what I love. This is the reason I bought it. This angle, the zipatone. That's like, I had that, I still have it, and paper, regular pulp paper form. Okay, well, here's the thing. Wolverine or Daredevil, or have learned, Denny O'Neil, former editor of Frank Miller's Daredevil, became the writer, and Linda Grant became the editor because Jim Shooter instituted the you can't edit yourself because that means you're not going to be, if you're going to be that autonomous, then you might not bring your best stuff forward, because there was a lot of guys in the 70s that were writer artists, and some of the stuff was kind of regurgitating stuff, or had a sameness to it. So we find out that these guys are going to kidnap Bullseye, and hang on a second. So he wakes up because being a mutant has a couple of advantages, like having a body that heals almost instantly, added to an adamantium skeleton, and you ain't interested, but I am. Daredevil, right? Yep. This is way back before everybody knew everybody, and then everybody became a friggin' Avenger, but thanks to Brian Michael Bendis. Bullseye, one of your sparring partners, huh? Right again. I heard you tried to stop him, and I blew it. I must be getting old. What's your interest? Why not? I got this call from a guy on the local cop. Seems he got a word from a CIA contact that a bunch from Japan were coming to snatch your buddy. The Japanese just might be connected to the people who gave me my adamantium bones, and he may not. Anyway, I figured it wouldn't hurt to find out. So they're kind of. Daredevil doesn't like Wolverine. He thinks he's too brutal, and Wolverine thinks that Daredevil's a wuss. Okay, good old Kingpin. Wait a second. I love that. Larry Hama is doing the layouts. He used to be with Continuity Studios with Neil Adams and Dick Giordano and Mike Nasser and a whole bunch of people. So, the time passes, they get back together, and hang on. So these characters are kidnapping a Bullseye's completely inanimate. He can eat and drink maybe, but on the ship, good ship Lollipop, he goes, we travel to my island. My doctors will work on you. Replace broken bone with metal. Put health in tissues, special exercise for limbs. You recover stronger than before, and you will serve me. You'll train my people in your skills. You will kill for me. Together will not be stopped. That's a very, like I said, still get that Miller style to it. And goes on and on. I like that a lot. And again, it's like this bad guy, not Fran Tarkington, but Tarkington Brown would die. Tarkington Brown will die anyway. He told me himself he's a fatal illness. He's almost in the grave already. Besides, he's not better than Bullseye. He's a madman. He's a murderer. Yeah. So his conscience is just making Daredevil. He's making life hard on himself. But then he's a good guy. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be a killer, and that's respectful. Although it causes him years of suffering, that sort of. It's almost like some people would say. It's almost like was raised Irish Catholic, which was established by Frank Miller himself, and so he's sort of like that. He's almost like the guy who would go to confession. He actually did, I think, in an issue that Ann Nocenti wrote. I think so. But not like every day, like, oh, he did this, blah, blah, blah. Well, Klaus went over to D.C., and this new guy, William Johnson, came along, and this other new guy, Mike Mignola, was inking. So the first basically a few pages are Klaus right before he left, and now William Johnson, he's mostly known for 80s stuff in Marvel. He did He did a run of Daredevil, and then he did a run of Transformers, which looked pretty cool. And he also did some Savage Sword of Conan stuff. Let's see. La, la, la. So, we get to relive all of this. And you know what? I like William Johnson's art, and I know it's unfair to compare it to Frank Miller or Klaus Janson. It's not an enviable position, but I was all right. I mean, I thought it was good, but Mike Mignola was the wrong choice for inker on this. It really simplifies the imagery, and Mike was new at the time too. I mean, I don't even know if he did. I don't think he did that year of the Hulk at this time. So solid inker. It's just not really. And what I like is William Johnson has the storytelling chops that a lot of people wish they had. So, for some reason, there's like this mind meld weird thing where it's never been done before, and after it was almost like a symbolic thing that Denny O'Neil had, that they had some kind of psychic link and they were kind of pissing each other off. It's, you know, it's hokey, and, you know, but it was just something to add a little something different, you know, but I didn't really care for it myself. Just because Daredevil's usually not rooted in like the supernatural or other stuff. La 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 la. So Bullseye's going to get his adamantium. Nice. I think it's a Bill Sienkiewicz cover. No, it is Carl Potts, who's an amazing artist. We don't see enough of his stuff. And Danny Bolinati takes over and adds. It's much better. Much better. And there goes the mind game. I don't know what is it, mind meld. So Bullseye's up and at him. He's up and at him, adamantium. So and he's just doing fine. So now you got Bullseye, who's an incredibly dangerous character, like so dangerous, and he nearly killed Daredevil several times. Very closer than most people have, and now he has an adamantium skeleton. Okay, keep that in mind. He's basically Wolverine, except that he actually has infallible aim, where Wolverine doesn't. He has, you know, better than average aim. He doesn't have the claws, but with Bullseye, anything's a weapon. And he even killed somebody with like a playing card, you know, slitting a guy's throat. And at first I thought, playing cards don't go that hard. And someone showed me a video of a guy whisking playing cards into like a piece of wood. So I was pretty amazed by that. So okay, we got some Bullseye coming along here. He's new, he's improved, he's rested, he's bitter, and he has adamantium skeleton. Adamantium. Tough as nails. He should have been the most prominent villain in the Marvel Universe, because Wolverine, Wolverine has that healing factor. Okay, I'll give that to him, but adamantium's still adamantium. I mean, he's gonna endure even more of pain in battle and such. So I love this stuff that William's doing. All this, him and Natasha are talking for a bit, and going to the bar, Josie's bar. So there's a flashback where his dad was talking about honor, and there's our pal Bullseye. So I'm going to deal you these little gimmicks. I ever show you these? You're a bit slow. Not old age getting to you. Now just openers got to get your attention. So now bear in mind, I can't believe that Bullseye's only using like one weapon at a time. He could throw a barrage of stuff, and it doesn't even have to be a weapon, so he throws it, and it's like easily dodged. But here's the other thing too. Daredevil has a bum arm. His arm got hurt in the previous issue, so you have a fortified, better than ever Bullseye with adamantium bones, and you have a hobbled Daredevil. Okay? Remember I showed you that issue 181 where they were struggling? They were both equals in that way. So now there's a huge divide between what they can do and what they can't. It's like, and this, I don't know. I don't know if it was Denny's intention or if it was an editorial thing about, like, well, issue 200 is coming up. We got to have some big deal. Well, it's got to be Bullseye. Well, Bullseye just got crippled about, 18 months ago or whatever. And they're like, oh, got to do Bullseye. So this recalls issue 146, which was drawn by Gil Kane. And it's just, there's a lot of callbacks, but it's too early. I mean, he just got, he was bedridden. But it's like in a span of a year, real time, just buying comics, which would mean only maybe a couple months tops. And in fact, like these last 5 issues have taken place in like the passage of 2 weeks. So we're right, we're not far at all from his being, disabled. So that is really nice. I really love how William drew that. And, it's okay. Just go on arm, fling it back. And it just was too easy. And I'm not... this is stuff... William Johnson was new. And when you're new at Marvel back then, you had a lot of direction from the writers or the editors on how to stage a fight. And so I don't... this was written this way. William didn't really plan that. It's just sort of like, well, okay. And also, just like me, I was like, you're so glad to be in comics, and so it's just, he shoots them and la 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 la. Because, again, remember the time you pulled me out of the way, that subway train saved my life? I hated you for that. I don't want to do you any favors. So he's about to shoot him. Let me get close up. I like that face a lot. So he's like, well, I know you, pal. I know inside your head, and that's the worst thing I could do for you is to let you live knowing you're responsible for everything I do because you didn't take your shot when you had it. So long, chump. No. You blankety blank. Whoop. Hang on, everybody. Must be very careful. Whoop. Okay. Whew. Everybody's sweating. So, toss the billy club. I don't know why Bullseye's not expecting something like that. So he goes, puts him in a chokehold with his billy club. And he still's got that bum arm. It's like, really, Bullseye could have just reached up and really hurt that arm. But he sees in his mind's eye that, his dad's telling him, like, you gotta, I disgrace myself and there ain't no money in the world that can pay that for that. There's a reason. There's never a reason for you not being what you are. I'm no killer. Love that pose. Or that face. So he sends him away. And that is your Daredevil 200. It's regurgitated stuff. It's totally unrealistic. And I remember reading that and being so pissed off. Because it just struck me as lazy. Oh, issue 200 here. Oh. And like I said, he's got a cast. He's got adamantium bones. He was hard to defeat when he didn't have his bones and stuff like that. And it should have been no brainer. Bullseye should have killed him easily. Although he says, I'll let you live. But even the scrap they had before wasn't anything like the choreographed fight scene that Frank Miller established. So I was really pissed off about it. I was so disappointed. I'm like, this is something a kid would throw together. It's like as far as story wise, there's no great moment where he has to dig even deeper, to defeat Bullseye. It's just like another day at the office. So it didn't sit well with me. And William did a few more issues, and I don't know. I think he went over to Transformers and some other stuff, but that's it. That's how to totally screw up an anniversary issue. The only worse anniversary issue I know of is Avengers 200, which you could research it. Comic Tropes, Chris talks about that episode, and he says the worst Avengers story ever. So that's it. This kind of broke my heart. It just seemed like, okay, we got a zoom issue towards issue 200. We know Bullseye's going to get adamantium skeleton. What will the fight be like? Ooh. And it's like, boy, I just made the weirdest noise. Ooh. And and it just felt, I don't know. That was a part where Daredevil was starting to jump the shark for me. And just because issue 200, it wasn't special, it didn't even have to be double sized. I'm an old man. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to all of you later.